What's going on today, YouTubers? We're going to do another edition of Walking Reviews, but today I want to be comparing two knives. So the knife that I'm carrying today is this. This is the Rockstead Hizen. And for those of you who have not heard of Rockstead as a company, they are a Japanese knife making company. They've been making knives for a very long time. And their claim to fame is their 0-degree grind and their mirror polished edges, which are all done by hand. So, real quick, let me go over the specs for this one. We have a handle length of about 4 1/8. The handle is made out of duralumin, which is aluminum with, I believe, some copper. Supposedly that increases the hardenability and wear resistance. They've given it a beautiful, like, sunburst type pattern on there, which is great for tactility and, you know, for the aesthetics. The blade is about 2 7/8 inches long. It is ZDP 189, and it is hardened to an incredible 67 HRC. I'm going to give you a little peek. If you can see that little spot right there, that's where they do the hardness test. You can also see me and the mirror polished edge, the trees around me. They have done cutting tests with their ZDP 189 at the hardness that they take it to, 67, and the edge just holds up like a ridiculous amount of time. They cut through like crazy amounts of hemp rope, and then, you know, every so often they'll still do like a paper cut test, and just to show you. So I mean, that's a really amazing feature, and it's really cool. It's not without its drawbacks. You're not going to be able to sharpen this. 99.9% of us aren't going to be able to sharpen this. They are warranted for life, so you can always send it to Japan and they can redo the edge, but as far as just touching it up at home, the most you're really going to ever be able to do is strop it a little bit and, you know, hope that you never chip or roll the edge, because you're not going to fix it. You're going to have to send it to them. Anyways, it's a frame lock. You can see the frame lock cut out there. Because the handles are like aluminum and the blade steel is as hard as it is, they put in a hardened steel lock insert there. You can see the pocket clip. I really love the way they do their lock bar cutout. It's so interesting. It's not, you know, you don't see this on every knife. You can see the made in Japan on the pocket clip. So, I really did want to compare this to another knife because it's really strikingly similar, both in terms of build quality and, I mean, price is not too far off. And that is this guy right here, the Small Sebenza 21. This just happens to be the carbon fiber version with a deep carry pocket clip, but even the standard Sebenza, Small Sebenza 21, they compare really closely. They're both frame locks. They're both in the sub 3-inch blade category. So the Rockstead, like I said, is about 2 7/8. The Small Sebenza 21 is just about 3 inches, just a hair under 3 inches. If you've been collecting knives for a while, or, you know, I'm sure you've probably heard about the Sebenza. Some people swear by them, some people aren't huge fans. I am a big fan. Not to the point where, like, I own 7 of them or anything. This is the only Sebenza I own, but I really adore the simplicity of this knife. It has one standoff, the pivot, and then the blade stop, the stop pin there, and that's it. It runs on bronze phosphorus washers with like grease pockets in there. Sorry about that. And I mean, there are little details that make it cooler, like, you know, he anodizes the thumb lug there. It's a really serviceable knife. Like this, I think this is probably the pinnacle of knife as tool, if that makes any sense. I mean, other than its you know, cool factor, this is like the ultimate knife as tool. The lockup is, I mean, people say it's like a bank vault, and I agree. I tend to agree. Yeah, the centering is dead on, and this is a production knife, and so is the Hizen. These are both technically production knives, and yet they're probably at the height of production knife price. This one cost me just under $400 from Knife Art. This one's a little bit more expensive. This one cost me just over $600. So they're both pricey. They're not cheap production knives. So what I just pointed out about the Sebenza, the simplicity of its design, etc., that all goes for this as well. Whereas the Sebenza had 3 screws on it, this has 2. One for the pivot, one for the standoff. The stop pin is not screwed in. It's sandwiched between the aluminum scales. So this, if the Sebenza is the peak of knife as tool, this is just there with it. And if anything, you know, the blade being that much, you know, better at keeping an edge, it's even more of a tool. Now, like I said in the last video, if we just needed something to cut with, we could all buy a buck 110, put it in our pocket, never need to carry anything again. This is like something else, you know, it's more than just a tool. They spend hours hand rubbing this mirror polished edge. And I mean, do we need an edge that mirror polished? Speaking from a strictly cutting standpoint, no, not really. As a matter of fact, a lot of us probably need a toothier edge than that. I mean, this is a, you know, graded slicing and stuff, but if I take this to a tomato versus a toothier edge, the toothier edge is probably gonna have an easier time cutting the tomato. This does have its you know, its uses and the places it excels, but that mirror polish is not strictly for what do you call it? For cutting power. All right, so both knives are what I would say the sweet spot for size. They're both just under a 3-inch blade. They're both about 7 inches overall. The Sebenza actually packs a little bit bigger blade into a little bit smaller handle, but they're so close that really I can't see much of a difference. They both are riding on washers. Both are frame locks. Both of them, the carbon fiber version that I have and this knife, they weigh in at 2.3 ounces. So you really never even know that they're in your pocket for the most part, which is ideal in my opinion. When I first got this knife, I will say it wasn't that smooth coming out. I mean, it was hydraulic, if that makes sense. People say that about the Sebenza. This was next level hydraulic. They use like a really thick bearing grease on the washers and like all around the pivot area, and that means you're not flicking the knife out. you can slowly draw it out, but that's about as fast as it goes when I first got it. So what I did was I disassembled it. I cleaned off the bearing grease and I put Chris Reeve's fluoro grease on there. You can see the nice jimping there. This actually is one of the best ergonomic knives. It doesn't seem like there's much to it, but it just fits the hand so perfectly. And unlike the Sebenza, this has double thumb lugs, thumb studs, and both of them are raised just enough. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Yeah, both of them are raised just enough above the handle so that they create almost like a mini thumb ramp, and that locks your hand in really nicely. This little kind of fuller groove type thing on the blade serves no purpose as far as I know. I think it's a lot like the hole in a Sebenza handle where it's used for positioning during construction. So I think when they're making these knives, that hole serves to like hold the blade as they do the mirror edge. All right, this video is getting a little bit long. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. One of the biggest comparisons I wanted to make to the Sebenza is this knife ships with a tool to take it apart. There aren't many other knives that do that. And I've taken this apart, I can't count how many times. I've taken the Hizen apart quite a few times. And one thing that you know for sure when you take these apart and you put them back together, they are going to be the exact same way that they were when you took them apart. There will be no deviance in blade centering. There will be no change in action. They're built so simply and so well that taking them apart and putting them back together isn't a chore. It's actually fun to do. And that's one of the things I like most about these, is that I can sit there, take them apart, kind of clean them every day if I need to, whatever. I mean, you don't, obviously you don't need to unless you're really going crazy with like cutting tape and stuff, but that's one of the things I like about knives, is being able to look at the inside and you know, see how they made it and then put it back together and really enjoy the way that they work. And these two are great at that. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next review. Take it easy.